Have you ever been shopping late at night when the store is almost empty? It feels a little strange, right? Like you have the whole place to yourself. That's what I thought one Tuesday evening when I had to run to Walmart for some last-minute school supplies for my daughter. It was almost 10 o'clock, the lights were buzzing, and the aisles were long, silent corridors. I grabbed a cart and headed straight for the school supplies section. It was completely deserted, which was a relief. I found the specific glitter glue my daughter insisted she needed and a fresh pack of construction paper. As I turned to leave the aisle, I saw him. A man, standing at the far end, just watching me. He was tall, wearing a plain gray hoodie, and his face was mostly hidden in shadow. It was unsettling, but hey, it's a public place. I brushed it off and pushed my cart towards the grocery section. I needed milk and bread, the usual stuff. I turned down the dairy aisle, and my heart skipped a beat. There he was again, at the opposite end, by the yogurts, just standing there. Not looking at products, not checking a list, just staring in my direction. This was starting to feel less like a coincidence. I grabbed the milk as fast as I could, my hands feeling a little shaky, and practically jogged to the next aisle over. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he was just spacing out. I tried to focus on my list. Cereal. I went down the cereal aisle, keeping my eyes peeled. And sure enough, at the end of the aisle, partially obscured by a promotional display, was that same gray hoodie. This time, I was sure he was looking right at me. A cold dread started to creep up my spine. This wasn't normal. I abandoned my list. All I wanted was to get out of there. I started pushing my cart towards the checkout lanes at the front of the store, moving much faster now. My heart was pounding in my chest. I didn't dare look back. I just kept my eyes fixed on the bright lights of the registers. But I couldn't shake the feeling, that sixth sense, that I was being followed. As I rounded the corner from the pet food aisle, he was there again. This time, he was much closer. He was standing in the main thoroughfare, blocking my direct path to the checkouts. He wasn't moving. He was just watching me approach. The store suddenly felt huge and terrifyingly empty. There were no other shoppers in sight. No employees. Just me, my rattling cart, and the man in the gray hoodie. I stopped. My mind was racing. Should I scream? Should I run? I quickly changed direction, darting down the pharmacy aisle, hoping to loop around. My cart felt clumsy and loud. I glanced over my shoulder, and he had turned and was now walking slowly, deliberately, in my direction. That's when true panic set in. This was real. I was being hunted in the middle of a Walmart. I ditched the cart. It crashed into a shelf of vitamins, and I didn't care. I just ran. I sprinted past the cosmetics, through the clothing section, my footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. I could hear other footsteps behind me, steady and unhurried, which was somehow even more terrifying. I saw the bright red sign for the checkout lanes ahead. A single lane was open. A cashier with a bored expression was scanning items for the only other customer I had seen all night. I didn't slow down. I ran right up to them, gasping for breath. I probably looked insane. I turned back, and the man was gone. The aisle I had just come down was empty. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. I quickly paid for the glitter glue and construction paper, my hands trembling so much I could barely get my card out of my wallet. I didn't say a word to the cashier. What would I even say? I practically ran out to my car, locked the doors, and sped out of the parking lot. To this day, I have no idea who that man was or what he wanted. But I've never gone shopping late at night again. Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones you find in the most ordinary places. Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there. Have you ever been the last person in a store at night? The lights are dimming, the staff are rushing to close up, and you get that weird feeling you're being watched. Well, imagine that, but 100 times worse. This is a story I heard from an overnight stalker, a guy named Leo, who worked at one of those massive 24-hour Walmarts out in the middle of nowhere. Leo said the job was usually boring. Just him, a couple of other stalkers, and a manager, wandering the massive, empty aisles under the humming fluorescent lights. But there were rules. Weird rules. The most important one was, be out of the main store area and in the break room by 3 a.m. No exceptions. The automatic doors would lock, and the store would go into a sort of deep sleep mode for 1 hour. One night, Leo was in the pet food aisle, totally lost in his music, jamming out while stacking heavy bags of dog food. He lost track of time. Suddenly, his music cut out. Dead silence. He pulled out his phone. 3:02 a.m. A cold dread washed over him. He was late. He was still on the sales floor. He started power walking towards the back, his footsteps echoing unervingly in the vast, quiet space. Then he heard it. A faint, tinny sound. It was music, not from the store's speakers, but from the toy aisle. It sounded like an old-fashioned music box, a creepy, tinkling melody that made the hairs on his arms stand up. Against his better judgment, he crept towards the sound. As he rounded the corner into the toy aisle, the music stopped. He stood there, heart pounding in his chest, surrounded by the vacant, plastic stares of dolls and action figures. That's when he saw it. Down the aisle, a single rocking horse, one of those old wooden ones, was slowly, gently, rocking back and forth. All by itself. He didn't scream. He didn't even breathe. He just backed away, slowly at first, then turned and ran. He sprinted through the empty grocery section, past the dark checkout lanes, and slammed his shoulder into the employee door leading to the back rooms. It was locked. He was trapped. From the main store, he heard a new sound. A metallic scraping. It was slow, rhythmic. Scrape, drag, scrape, drag. It was getting closer. Leo frantically fumbled for his walkie-talkie, his hands shaking so badly, he almost dropped it. He keyed the mic, his voice a choked whisper. "Manager Mike, anyone. I'm locked out. I'm on the floor." The scraping stopped. The silence that followed was somehow even more terrifying. His walkie-talkie crackled to life. It wasn't his manager's voice. It was a distorted, gurgling sound, like someone trying to speak underwater. It whispered a single, chilling phrase. "You should have been in the break room." Leo started banging on the door, screaming for help. He could hear the scraping start again, much closer this time. It was coming from the end of the main aisle, just out of sight. He closed his eyes, bracing for whatever was coming. And then, he heard the click of a lock. The employee door swung open. It was his manager, Mike, looking pale and furious. "Get in. Now," Mike hissed, yanking him inside and slamming the door shut. He shoved Leo into the brightly lit break room where the other two stalkers were huddled, looking terrified. "Are you crazy? What were you doing out there?" Leo tried to explain about the music box, the rocking horse, the scraping sound, but Mike cut him off. "We don't talk about what happens between 3 and 4 a.m. Ever. You got lucky. The store, it let you go this time." Leo quit the next day. He never found out what was making that scraping sound, or what the store did during its 1-hour lockdown. But sometimes, late at night, when it's too quiet, he swears he can still hear the faint, tinkling melody of that music box. It's a chilling reminder of the night the Walmart locked him inside. What do you think was happening in that store? Let me know your theories down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more creepy tales. Thanks for watching.
I was working the night shift at Walmart, doing my usual routine of restocking shelves and trying to stay awake under the fluorescent lights. The store was practically a ghost town after 10 p.m. Just me, a couple of other stockers, and the occasional late-night shopper looking for a pint of ice cream or a frozen pizza. My section was the freezer aisle, a long, cold corridor of humming glass doors. It was always the chillest part of the store, but tonight it felt different. The cold felt like it was seeping into my bones. That's when I saw her for the first time. She was standing at the far end of the aisle, staring into one of the ice cream freezers. She was just a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, wearing a thin, pale blue dress that looked completely out of place for the weather, let alone the inside of a giant refrigerator. Her hair was long and dark, and she was barefoot. My first thought was that she was lost. I started walking towards her, my boots squeaking on the polished floor. "Hey there, little one," I said, trying to sound as friendly as possible. "Are you lost? Where's your mom or dad?" She didn't turn around. She just kept staring into the freezer, her breath fogging up the glass. I got a little closer, and the cold intensified. It was like standing next to an open freezer door, even though they were all sealed shut. "Honey, can you hear me?" I reached out to gently touch her shoulder, but as my fingers got close, she vanished. Just gone. 1 second she was there. The next, only the hum of the freezers remained. I stood there for a full minute, my heart pounding against my ribs. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. Sleep deprivation, too much caffeine. You know how it is. I shook my head and tried to laugh it off, going back to my pallet of frozen peas. But I couldn't shake the image of her, so still and so cold. A little while later, my manager, Dave, came by on his rounds. I decided to tell him, half expecting him to laugh at me. "Hey, Dave," I said, "you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I just saw a little girl in this aisle, barefoot, in a blue dress. Then she just disappeared." Dave's cheerful expression faltered. He looked up and down the aisle, a strange look on his face. "A little girl in a blue dress?" he asked, his voice low. "You saw her too?" My blood ran cold, too. "What do you mean, too?" He told me that over the years, several night shift employees had reported seeing the same thing. A small girl in a blue dress, always in the freezer aisle, who vanishes when you get too close. The story goes that years ago, before the store was even built, a family had a tragic car accident on this very spot during a winter storm. Their little girl, wearing her favorite blue dress, wandered away from the wreck into the freezing cold and was never found. Some say her spirit is still here, drawn to the cold, forever looking for warmth. I didn't sleep well for weeks after that. Every time I worked the night shift, I'd feel a chill run down my spine as I approached the freezer aisle. I never saw her again, but sometimes, late at night, when the store is silent, I'll see a small, foggy handprint appear on one of the freezer doors. A handprint just the right size for a little girl. And I know she's still there, forever wandering the cold, lonely aisles of Walmart. Thanks for listening. If you liked this story, hit that subscribe button for more spooky tales.